How's did you ever hear that story about Wild Wild West? How he got the job offer to do Men in Black, and he not Men in Black, Matrix, and he rejected it.
What an idiot!
Yeah, and so they gave it to Keanu Reeves, and then he got Wild Wild West. He rejected it for Wild Wild West, and then he's like, after he saw the success of Matrix, he was like, well, he did Wild Wild West over the Matrix.
What an idiot!
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Why there's not for them, heaven only knows.
Let's kick off this PPC podcast.
Bro.
What up?
Back in action, back in action, back in action. OG squad.
Here we go.
Hey, lean back. See, that's one of them songs.
Listen, it's been forever. We are different people.
It's been a minute.
We look different.
We're different people. Straight up.
My beard's longer, but I'm still just as fat.
You don't think you're a little fatter?
I might be.
I think I'm a little fatter.
Hey, this move,
last time
I've been packing on some pounds. We've been eating out a lot.
I'm about to say, it is definitely a real thing about stress eating. It is legit real.
I think I gained some weight.
My goodness.
I for sure.
That's what I told him. I'm glad I'm in the skinny seat today.
You got the middle shot.
You are not in the skinny seat. Look at that camera.
I look like one of them pink flamingo floats in the water. That's what I look like.
Dang, man.
I love it.
Man,
Love it.
So we are in. We're past our first service in the new building. Before we were just talking about the process, and now we're here.
We are here.
We have arrived. We got through work. What would you say? Work
weeks.
Work weeks.
Work months.
Work months. Yeah, we're here now. We are here. What are thoughts? Reflecting over the whole work process. What are takeaways? What are things that you look back on and you're like, man, this is something that I take away from it?
Yeah,
this
for
thing's
me, it's funky.
You can move it a little bit.
Trying to figure out the best way to deal. I'll just hold it there.
Just don't put it in your face. Don't put it in your face now. Everybody's going to comment on there about, hey, you got the microphone in your face.
So you can see there you go. For me, it is the incredible volunteers that we had here, people who were showing up every single day. The retired community in our church blew me away. Yeah. They were out here pressure washing and cleaning and painting and all kinds of stuff, man. It was absolutely phenomenal to watch. Saturday work days, watching people come out and just, give their all from sun up to sundown. It was so encouraging to see our people truly buying into this, and I'm excited about, the move, the process, and being a part of it.
Yeah, completely agree. It's really cool. It's really cool to like imagine the process of us talking about what it's gonna be like. Huh? I don't know if it's gonna fall.
I'm gonna fix it.
It's kind of fun.
I'm gonna fix it.
We upgraded with the podcast, but it's
been a while, so we're trying to get
back.
We're trying to get back to our normal.
we still got some.
What if I put it under your chair like that?
Oh,
Life decisions.
Nope, that ain't gonna work neither. I like it.
if it bends more, then it'll work.
Don't hit your bang.
If it bends closer.
Closer.
Yeah, and then you could just bring this part closer.
Boom.
We're good too.
Boom. Somebody is watching
if y'all
this
are
right
watching
now.
the video,
They're like,
they're
y'all,
listening.
please,
They're
please.
This needs to be in the outtakes.
The outtakes.
So yeah, volunteers was a big thing for me.
Yeah, volunteers are here. It's like thinking about when we're talking about what it would be like, and then having all the videos in my head, like the scenes of us working and seeing it all happen and seeing all the volunteers come together, like things that would take months to do, done in like 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Nuts.
Yeah, I had a contractor tell me through this process, he said, what you're trying to do in 6 weeks, it would take a normal commercial contractor 6 months to do.
Yeah.
And
That's cool.
our people pulled it off in 6 weeks.
Yeah. It's exciting.
It's unbelievable.
And
Johnny, what's your takeaway from the work month?
Yeah, I was gonna say, it was amazing to see how the people kind of came out all together, work days, work nights, consistently. Like it wasn't just like 1 week. It was straight up 6 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever. It feels like it was a lot longer, probably because of the amount of work we were doing, but it was consistent like support through the different age ranges and, food and, people coming at random times of the day and at night. And, just to see a church do that, I would love to know like the amount of money that was, and just like volunteer, like instead of us having to hire people out, I would love to know that number of, because we had a church that was, backing the vision of what we were doing, what we were able to save and put towards other things. So
and it was 5 weeks. I mean, it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
It was 5 weeks.
It wasn't like we were just having a work day and saying, "All right, guys, we're coming out here and we're going to do a few things here."
Yeah.
And
no, it was 5 weeks of it.
Yeah, it was people saying, "I'm going to make this a part of my schedule," like committed to this project. Yeah,
and we continued having Sunday services. We continued having
we
prayer
stayed
every
afloat.
Monday night.
Yeah.
We continued doing small groups. We continued doing. I mean, there was everything we were already doing, and people still fit work into that schedule as well.
Right.
Yeah. What was the most colorful project that we did? And not colorful as in like actually colorful, but what would you say is one of the would carpet be the tail of the tape for the work month?
To me, the
bathroom. That's a
the
good
bathroom.
debate.
The bathroom was the one to me that, man, it. I don't even get started on it in here.
Hey, Coastal Contract Hardware, they sponsored us throughout. I'm just kidding, but I was seeing them a lot with those partitions. They're about tired of seeing me. So
I don't even want to say the word partition ever again.
Yeah, ever again.
I want to hear it. I never want to hear it in conversation.
Hey, someone said you'll never, you may not ever have to learn this again. I'm thinking, please, I don't want to ever have to use what I just learned for. I hope I never have to deal with partitions ever again.
Johnny, if you were to do a snapshot, just a quick snapshot of the bathroom process, what was it?
A snapshot? So you want like
what is for anybody that doesn't know what we're talking about right now with the bathrooms?
We took out 38 stalls worth of walls and doors and beams, moved them all over the place, got them painted, and then moved them back from all over the campus, put them back in, and then had to creatively
figure out where
everything went. And, we were missing bolts, so you had to get bolts, and you're missing this, and you have to get this, and it was a fun little process, but also very challenging. So
yeah,
that's a big old snapshot. That's like very a mural.
Fun. I heard Sam describe it like you go to a junkyard and you're trying to put everything together, and then as you're running out, you're like figuring out that you don't know. You don't know where it could fit because you're running out of more stuff to just put together.
It was a crazy. It was like Sudoku in real life. And then when you got to the end, you were like, this is what we have left, and it's going to have to work. That's what it was.
And it worked.
It worked.
And now it's beautiful.
It looks amazing.
It does. It's a masterpiece.
I went back in. I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
What in the world is this? This is crazy.
And that's the beauty of it.
It was beautiful.
Ain't that God though?
That's God for you.
That's what he does. He takes the broken,
takes the junkyard stuff and makes it beautiful.
Makes it beautiful, man.
We love you, God.
Now that we're here and we got through it, and now that we have first service, and what's the feeling right now? Do you feel like it's just our second week? Let's make adjustments. Does it feel did you feel any sense of, man, we made it through this home stretch?
Yeah, I'm very honest with my leaders. You guys know this. I'm not very good at celebrating. So I walked away from Sunday celebrating and then got in the car and turned on the online mix, and immediately it kind of triggered all of the stuff in me going, there's so much more that has to be fixed. So I did celebrate for a few minutes, and then now I'm in, man, Sunday's coming and we've got all this stuff to fix, so we got to get on the ball.
Yeah. So it's almost like it just opened the door for this next season of like, this is gonna be a continual kind of looking for what are the things that we're putting together, and what are, I mean, it's kind of just a semblance of this is where we are now as a church, and this is where God opened us up for, and now we got to roll with these punches now.
Yeah, there's people that are coming to look at the new building, to try out the new building, that are a part of the community. For whatever reason, they're coming to this church. And if we're not careful, some of the things that we see as blatantly needing to be fixed, if we're not careful, we will overlook them. And those things can end up frustrating people and ultimately hurt our church long term.
Which is the same process I feel like we had at the other building with how you viewed things. Was we're growing and we've got more people coming in, and there's things that we've got to fix and there's things that we got to do better. And so I just feel like now it's just amplified because it's just more possible things that are going to go wrong and more opportunities to fix things. So it's not that we're at a new building now and that all stops. It's just there's just more things that have to be done now.
Yeah. More is the word. Just more. A lot more of everything. And I feel like, especially for you, I feel like something that for people around you and like as staff is like understanding that you're, especially you're facing stuff that none of us can really understand. No one around you can really understand. No one can really grasp, because while we're seeing more of our area and you're kind of helping us narrow more of our area, yours is growing substantially in every direction, and you're fighting stuff that we can't really put into words. So while more is happening for the ministry, a lot more is happening for you, and so walking through that, I know you don't really, there's not really a time for you to process that or have that, you know what I mean? I'm sure you have those places in your life, but for that in ministry, how have you been able to still keep a depth and intimacy with God and in this, like, while it's getting, because you're already a very ambitious, very driven for the kingdom, very let's push forward. But with that comes I'm sure you're having even more than you've already dealt with. So how has that been like?
Yeah, man, there's so much that I could share here that I don't think people would fully understand, and me sharing it would almost sound like grumbling or complaining. That I'm not grumbling or complaining. I am so thrilled with where God has called me to be. I'll give you this one quick thought. One of the things that everybody has said through this process is something to the effect of, new levels, new devils, and as you grow, the enemy's going to do everything he can to throw things at you. And man, all of that's true. I get it. All of that is absolutely true. So I'm getting up on, Sunday. It's the portion of service where we're entering into the last song, and the song is minutes turning into hours.
I just want you.
I just want you. And I'm getting into this moment, and I'm getting ready to step on stage, and I'm standing in front of the biggest crowd that I've ever preached to, and nowhere even close. Like, the second biggest crowd was half that size. Nowhere have I ever preached anywhere close to this size. And I'm getting ready to step into this moment. And honest to goodness, man, anxiety kind of grabbed me. Not the, oh my goodness, I'm speaking in front of these people, but anxiety of, are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Like, are you ready for this step where there's now new devils and new levels, and what if they, and then you start going through things like, what if they attack this, and what about this? And, you know, in my mind in like split seconds begin to start rolling, you know, and so I'm in this moment with the Lord where I'm looking around me and places, you know, to me packed. I mean, I know there was still seats, but it felt packed. And again, biggest crowd I've ever preached in front of, and all of this anxiety gripping my heart of, oh God, are you ready for this? And is this really what you wanted? And man, you life's going to be so much easier if you could just go back to that double wide, or if you could just go back to 3690. And as I'm having this moment with me, this internal battle with me, it was like the Lord just calmed my spirit, and he says, nothing's changed. And I kind of went, you know what, Lord? You're right. You're still in control. You've led me to this place. Why would you lead me here for a bigger devil to defeat me? Like, what would that say about you? You know, what would that say about the God I serve, that he is capable of protecting me in a double wide trailer and in 3690, but not capable of protecting me here in this facility?
Yeah.
And by protecting me, I don't mean, you know, I understand I'm going to be attacked. I'm talking about like, you know, again, I don't even want to speak some of the things out loud, but some of the things that my mind goes to. And so I was just sitting there in that moment. The Lord just kind of just said, nothing's changed. And I thought, I'm the one that's changing here in this process. I'm the one that's full of anxiety here in this moment. And so I went up on stage and I was just kind of like, God, I just want you. Like, this is where it all began. It began not with trying to grow a church. It began not with trying to, you know, to get to this moment or to try to be a mega church pastor or whatever the future holds for this ministry. That's not where it began with those aspirations. It began with an aspiration of, God, I want you. And nothing's changed there. Nothing's changed on your end. Nothing's changed on my end. So there's no reason for me to have some sort of, you know, internal battle with what's to come, because you've protected me thus far. You've brought me here thus far. I trust that you're going to do the same going forward.
Yeah, that's so good. And I think like even in that place, it's cool to think about how in each one of those places that you took that step, there was growth for you that you probably didn't even foresee happening.
100%.
And so to think that in this whole process, while he hasn't changed and he's still faithful, he's also going to still be faithful, and that there's incredible things coming to you that you may not even be thinking about, but like you're going to be growing in ways that you couldn't even imagine too, you know?
Absolutely.
And so to be imagining that process that's going to be taking place as well, that, you know, you're probably going to get to new levels of peace and new levels, you know, that you couldn't even foresee happening either, and your family couldn't even see coming too. So that's going to be cool to see for you as well. It's for that to layer in that same kind of token of knowing that he hasn't changed, but also knowing that his promise has increased to you, and that there's more happening in this season, not only for the ministry, but for you.
Yeah.
So that's going to be exciting. You know, with everything happening and with all of the excitement that we're in right now, what is the, like, immediately, what is the thoughts going towards sacred season right now? Because sacred season's coming up, and it's going to be, I mean, sacred season's always our that's our thing, you know?
Yeah. One of the things that I think you and I need to have a conversation about as soon as we get off of here is kind of doing a promo video for sacred season. Because as great as sacred season has been in the past, part of the reason for its greatness is because of the anticipation and the expectation that comes with sacred season, because people have been through sacred season.
Yeah.
Well, as our church grows and people haven't been through sacred season,
people,
there's not the expectation and the anticipation that's normally attached to it. So I think we need to kind of set the stage for what sacred season is and help people to maybe be stirred into an area of anticipation and expectation.
Yeah. Because you almost think about what sacred season has meant to us, but then you look at all the mini stories that have been like, this is a sacred season thing.
Yeah.
Even being here, it's like you look at
100%.
You look at all of that sacred season has meant to the ministry, but then you look at all of the promises that have continued in the journey of like, well, this year, this is what was said to us sacred season. And then it was followed up this year. And then it was like, so this is the fulfillment of sacred season. So it's like, what is 2022 sacred season?
I had 3 sacred season prayers last year that I kept quiet, but also I spoke them to very few people. And the group of intercessors that are around me, I spoke specifically about this prayer being answered right now. And one of my sacred season prayers last year was about the future of our church and about the facility and about having clarity on what God wanted our next step to be. I never even dreamt this was a possibility, but I did. One of my sacred season prayers was, okay, God, I need clarity of what this looks like, of what the future holds for our church. And little did I know that I've got a lot of clarity in less than a year.
Yeah. Man, Johnny, when you look at sacred season, what it's meant for you, what's your anticipation for this one, man? Is it bigger than ever before?
Yeah, I would say there are still things that are, like me, Christy, and, praying for a baby in our life. That's something that I'm still in expectation for, but not only like in my personal life, but I'm also kind of in expectation for the church and what that looks like. And like, cause usually we have a mission driving sacred season of what is happening here with our giving and, and that type of thing. So I'm also like in expectation for that too, because I believe something supernatural happens through that process as well. So not only for like my personal life and like, the things I'm expecting to see there, like I'm just as expectant about, what could happen there, and not like, okay, my rational mind says that this is what we could do or what we could possibly do or what could possibly happen, but like what's our mission tied with God's hand on it? What's really about to happen, Mm-hmm. So there's those are the things that really stick out to me during sacred season, like the altar experiences and the mission we're driven with. And so that's kind of like where my mind is at when it comes to this, even though there's a lot of other great things like, the devotion and, and fasting and praying, there's a lot of great things tied to it, but those are the things that really stick out specifically to me.
Yeah. The underlying mission of it and what it kind of, because when that happens, there's like a unity that takes place, and it's kind of like everybody comes in with that same. We have a lot of taglines here, and it's kind of like there's one added to the mix of it, whatever it is that mission, So it's kind of it's like another badge that we get to all toss on and we wear together, and it's like a spiritual one, that we're all fighting for and we're all believing in. So it's a cool process. What would you guys say with everything, with how we're all stepping into this together as a church and and everything feels like it still feels like in a sense of adjustment, it still is kind of a getting used to this and this is becoming a new norm and we're still making some changes to things and we're still, we're finding our groove. What would you say is the most important thing that people can approach this ministry with an understanding of? Is it, that we're going to still love like never before? Is it, what are things that if somebody's coming in and seeing us kind of changing things and figuring out the process, what are the things that they should look at and be like, this will be this isn't going to shift at all?
Yeah, I mean, things like production of a service. You know, like those things I don't value nearly as high as I do our love one for another. Things like, you know, whatever, fill in the blank that people think has to happen for church to run well. For me, I value the word, and are you going to be challenged, and are you going to feel loved whenever you're here? All of those foundational things, to me, are things that are must-haves here as we go through this process. It's not about the production quality of the service. It's not about how many people are here. The people that are coming through the doors, I want them to be able to feel loved. I want them to be able to know that they're walking away challenged. I want to take care of their family and push them into depths inside of their family, those sorts of things.
Yeah, I think a lot of times we get lost with, like, especially now, we get so caught up in big church and what we think big church should have that we miss those, like, foundational things that drive us and make us who we are and what made us able to get here. So part of me doesn't want to lose, like, who I was. Like, even as the church, we don't want to lose who we were at the other building coming into here. We don't want to lose that identity. I don't want to lose, you know, who I was at the other facility. I don't want to lose that here. So I want to keep a grasp on who I was there and not let any of what happens here change who I am here, you know?
Yeah. When we, as we're getting to these places and things like that come into an almost a, like, I don't know, like, there's just a lot kind of noise. And I think you spoke to this a lot in prayer nights and that staff prayer that we had the other day of almost just being able to drown everything out and just almost locking eyes with him. In this time, what are ways that us as leadership even can cling to his peace, like just really cling to it in times like this?
Yeah. I think in times of chaos, you know, I think about the disciples on the sea, and the storms are coming and winds are raging, and Jesus is taking a nap, seemingly uninterested in what it is that they feel like they're about to die. And they go running to Jesus, wake him up. He speaks peace, you know, the winds and waves stops. And then he almost rebukes them for being, you know, for having no faith. And so I think in the season of chaos and the storms raging and people always, you know, trying to get into your ear and so much going on around us, it feels, if we're not careful, like we're going to drown or like we're going to be tossed over, or whatever the situation may be. And I think as you're looking for peace in the situation, it is yes, calling out to Jesus, but also what he rebuked them for is their faith. Like, hey, listen, you gotta have faith that I'm in control. You gotta have faith that your future isn't banked on, you know, a wife or for you, or $1 million coming into the bank, or whatever, fill in the blank thing that you think that's security. Like, security is based in our faith of who he is and what he's doing in our lives. And so for me, the peace that I find from the sovereignty of God is God in control. So when my dad gets sick with cancer, is God in control? Is there anything I could do here in this season to make God more in control or less in control? No. So in the season, I'm putting my trust in you, my faith in you, and I'm saying, God, you're in control, right? And so same concept here is, you want to find peace. The peace you find is from, okay, is God in control? Is he in control of your future? Is he in control of your ministry? Is he in control of what's happening around here? It's not about, if 10 people show up next week, that's okay. Like, God's still in control.
Yeah.
And if the offering isn't great next week. It's okay. God's in control. And whatever the situation, somebody comes and whispers something terrible in your ear, is God in control? Yeah, okay, well then let's make a prayerful decision here. Let's figure this out. But at the end of the day, my peace comes from my faith in his sovereignty.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, and it's getting back to that, It's always a place to get back to know where that is. And it's going to look different for each of us, that process of getting back to that, of getting back to those moments of I've taken my trust out of your hands and I'm putting it back in your hands. I've tried to figure it out and now I'm giving it back to you. Like I heard, I was talking to my sister the other day and there was like an added perspective to the Jesus on the boat thing that I loved. And it was like when Jesus looked at them and it was like, you have little faith. And it was like a moment for them to have that reflection of like, man, like we didn't have faith, but it was also like a cool moment for that was they knew to turn to Jesus. You know what I mean? Like they knew that Jesus in that moment was the answer. And it was like when the storms arise, Jesus is in your boat. Like wake him up, like get him up because he's the one that can make it go to peace.
Yeah, and they've seen Jesus do all kinds of incredible things up to this moment.
Yeah.
And they're still, one of my favorite lines from the disciples is they look at each other and they're like, what manner of man is this that even the winds and the waves obey him? Like this dude's cool. Like he's healing people, but this just allowed him to step up a whole new level in my life.
Yeah.
Like what manner of man is this that even the winds and the waves obey him? This dude is unbelievable.
Yeah. And that's and that is the feeling, and I say this personally, that is the feeling, that awe of like he's able to do that. That's the feeling that you get when he does calm that storm inside of you. That's the feeling of like, who else is gonna heal my broken heart?
Mm-hmm.
Who else can give me peace about this?
Yep.
I've looked. I've tried.
Mm-hmm.
It came from nowhere but him.
Yeah. It's the sovereignty of God, man.
Man, we got deep there on the pod this time, huh?
Johnny, did you get deep on the pod?
John said, I get with that. I get with that.
That sounds good to me, Bo. Hey, I'm good with that. Yeah, no.
Johnny's like, I'm just glad Phil invited me back.
I'm glad y'all brought me back, but put me in the fat chair. Boy,
Oh, man, look.
250, look about 450.
Look, we love you guys. Thank
Yeah.
you so much
Thank
for
you.
being with us this time. Love
Peace.
catching up. Been a minute, but we'll see you on the next one.